All right, Jazz Cello vlog number 3 so far. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am a jazz cello player that tries to get better at playing jazz, and so I'm posting videos and talking about it. And that's basically my MO lately. So here I am talking again about jazz cello. So over the past week, I think the last time I was talking about, playing a bow without so many bow changes, right? The bow changes were like the similarity between that and a trumpet player using too many tongued notes. So I was trying to get rid of that. So I practiced that this week, and then yesterday I recorded 6 songs for the week. I'll record the 7th one hopefully today or tomorrow. To get my songs in for the week, they upload every day, so every day at 10 a.m. a new jazz cello video is posted on my channel. So here's some of the thoughts I had as I was practicing the last week since the last cello vlog. I've been thinking about the sound the bow makes outside of the note itself. And so as you play with the bow, there's kind of an intrinsic like kind of a sound to it that covers every note. It's similar to when a saxophone player has a really breathy sound, right? Every note has this kind of white noise that accompanies it. And so I've been focusing on that sound to hear when it kind of skips or, is lost, right? And I've been thinking about it as it relates to breathing. So, if you're going to make an S sound, this is kind of ugly, and this is prettier. This is calming, right? So when I'm playing, when I'm improvising and I'm playing eighth notes, I'm trying to maintain that relaxed breathing sound over the top of, virtuosity or something, or at least my path towards virtuosity, to having, lots of notes in your face, So it's less jarring, it's less chaotic, there's an easiness to it. And I think that a lot of jazz players implement that same concept in their playing. Clifford Brown, for instance, playing 100 notes a second, but it sounds so easy and carefree at the same time. A great jazz solo has that quality quite often. Okay, so that was one thing I was thinking about this week. Let's see what else. I have the list here. So another thing is about keeping your mind focused on the task at hand. So if if you have the ability to play and think about something else, like what you had for dinner, or if somebody said something rude to you or something, if those thoughts creep in your head as you're playing, that's a good sign that your muscle memory is in place, right? But it's not gonna help you, right? So take that extra mental energy and turn it back on the cello. And there's certain mantras I use to make myself stay in the moment and stay focused on my playing. And, some of those things are just to like relax and listen, just relax and listen like an alligator waiting for a fish to come along that he can eat. It's like he's just sitting in the water with his eyes out, he's paying attention. I'm trying to listen to the music like that. No thoughts. But I also use thinking as a method of a tool to get better. So as I'm practicing, I can think about my intonation. I can think about the timing of my notes, right? And the mantra I used this week, which I forgot about, but a friend of mine told me about, Andrew Kratzat, a great bass player in my local area, he said when he was in college, he spent an entire year obsessing over trying to hear every note. And so he doesn't play much lately, but he's a great bass player. So I looked up to him. So I pulled that out this week. I forgot about it, and it's a great little mantra, trying to hear every note. What I like about it is it gets me thinking about both hands equally. If something's wrong with the sound of the note, both hands can be the culprit. And when I found when I thought about trying to hear every note, I could tell right away if it was my right hand or my left hand that was causing the problem. And I could I could also hear sooner in the note when the problem arised. So a very important moment for cello players is as soon as you start to use the bow, the instant you turn the string from not moving to moving, that's a very important moment. And if it goes wrong, then you're trying to play catch up and get the string to ring or something with the bow. But like that initial strike is really important. But it's hard to focus on that moment. It's a very brief moment. It's hard to know when it goes wrong and how to compensate. And that was actually really helpful. Hearing every note has been great. I'm also excited about like this S sound and hearing every note. I think eventually it's going to get me into thumb position. In the past, I used to force myself up there, and when I wasn't ready, and it would make the solo worse, and I'm still doing that. You can hear that in my videos if you listen to them. It would make, an ugly moment in the solo. That's an advanced technical area, and I have gone up there with success before, but it's kind of a lottery ticket. And also, the cello is in its range. I mean, I'm not playing the viola here, so I'm not just going to hang out in thumb position. The cello is designed in its range, and I want to play in that range. But I do want to be able to play in thumb position when I want to move to a new layer or section as like a tonal option. So I think the S sound is going to help me get there, and here's what I mean by that. When I get into thumb position, it throws off all of my mental concentration because I'm thinking so hard. If I'm focused on something like the S sound, then the calmness kind of comes in, the awareness is involved, and the underlying current of what people are listening for can be found there. And so it's kind of hard to explain. But I think one of the things that goes wrong when I go into thumb position is that my bow control falls out the window. And the S sound is a way for me to reestablish that bow control. So I recorded 6 songs yesterday. Here's my thoughts on those. I've been trying to do 2 choruses lately. What I mean by that is, so the song is usually like, let's say 32 measures long. And then you solo over those 32 measures. So as we talked in the last vlog, you play the melody, then you solo, and then you play the melody again. Well, the melody, is 32 measures long? Well, then you solo over the form of the melody for 32 measures, and then you play the melody again, 32 measures. So it's a sandwich, right? Melody to establish the song, improvisation in the middle, melody again. Well, what I've been doing is melody, a chorus of improvising, or a melody's length of time for improvising, and then a second melody's length of improvising, so it's twice as long. My first choruses were pretty good. I was able to do more legato. The time feel was good. It sounded good when I listened to it this morning. The thing that I didn't like was how it felt when I played it. It just felt different to me. I'm so used to changing bows. But the results are here, so I'm going to try and move towards that. By my second chorus, I started running out of ideas, and I started falling back on old habits. I was unable to concentrate for 2 choruses to keep it together. And my second chorus, whenever I took it, was not as good as the first. It was clearly that way. And that's like the opposite of what I want. What I want is that second chorus to go to the next level, and the first chorus to have like an arc, where that golden mean at 66% or whatever, that's the peak of the solo. And I don't want to be caught fumbling in that moment. And I think also worrying about the fact that the second chorus needs to outdo the first chorus is also something that messes me up, right? I'm trying too hard, and I'm not ready yet. And so the videos coming up kind of show that. So it's a growing phase. I expect this to be a learning process, and so I think it will fix itself. And I think adding that second chorus is good for my growth. Not necessarily good for the music I'm presenting, but like I said, this is a learning process. Okay, cool. So those are my main thoughts. Another thing I've been thinking about is the issue of like the jazz cello community. A lot of people wonder, people who don't play cello, who play jazz, they're like, yeah, I don't know any jazz cello players. I never heard of that. Now that's not because they're not out there, but I think that there's some unhealthy practices in the jazz cello community that I think if I had my way I would fix. And I'm not pretending to be the best here. I don't think I am at all. But I do think that those who are up there at the top of the list, a lot of them are making some mistakes in terms of how they present themselves to the community. Anyway, so there's like, I can think of 3 great cello players who play jazz. Svante Henryson, Jacob Ssss. I don't know how to say his last name. It's kind of spelled funny, Ssss or something like that. Stephen Braun, great jazz cello player. Guillaume Latille, really good. Now here's what all 4 of them have in common that I don't like. You can find one video of Svante playing giant steps, and out there somewhere is a video of him playing night and day. And there's no other things I can find of him just playing over changes. Now he plays his own tunes, and those are jazz kind of sounding, kind of ECM sounding, but there's just not very much content. Jacob Ssss, I'm going to embarrass myself on this video. He's got one really awesome video of him playing Countdown, and another video of him playing giant steps also, where he's just teaching a lesson, and then nothing else. And some really old content on SoundCloud of him playing, which I think he's just kind of working stuff out at that point. He said himself that it was a long time ago. He was just starting. And then Guillaume Latille, I have a little forgiveness for him because the videos you can find of him aren't his own. Like, it's just live footage of him playing in certain circumstances, killing it. He's probably my favorite. I think Guillaume Latille and Mike Karub are my 2 favorites. But yeah, there's nothing there, right? And so here's my problem with that, is that if you are going to say you're the authority in jazz cello, it's like showing up to the jam session and playing one song better than everybody else, blowing everyone out of the water, and then walking off stage and leaving. It's like it leaves everybody feeling like, oh, maybe I should just quit. It also begs the question, it's like, I'm left wondering, do they like jazz at all? Or is it just a way for them to one-up everybody else, right? There's a great video of Stephen Braun, who I left out. There's a great video of him playing, Cherokee. And he's just destroying it at top speeds. But I can't find much else. Like, he plays other jazz tunes, but they're not really done in a jazz style. And so it's just like a surprising lack of content from these basically giants of jazz cello. And it leaves me wondering, it's like, well, if they can do that fancy stuff, like, can they just play something simple? I don't even know. Like, I wonder that. So Mike Karub is the exception. He's great, and you can find lots of content. There's 3 Royal Garden Trio albums out. There's plenty of stuff online to see him do what he's doing. And so if you're a young jazz cello player and you want to learn, you can learn tons from Mike Karub. I am having trouble learning much from the other. Now, I know Stephen Braun and Jacob Ssss have videos that you can watch, or like courses you can take with them. But to be honest, I just haven't seen enough of them and what they do to justify going in on some lessons right now, I need to hear them playing jazz. And no doubt that they're super good, and I strive to be at that level. But I think that a young cello player comes into this, and they kind of just feel like that base is covered now. Obviously, they're the best, but like they don't. It just kind of doesn't establish a trail of breadcrumbs for a young student to kind of follow and achieve. And it just begs the question. It's like, do they really like it in the first place, you know? Mike Block, for example, it's really hard to find videos of him playing jazz. And I don't think he thinks of himself as a jazz player. He teaches it. But, you know, should he be the authority on jazz cello playing? I really don't think so. But, you know, we'll take what we can get, right? Anyway, I hope that doesn't sound like I'm complaining, but it's just something I've been noticing. It's like we're not helpful to each other enough. We're not communicating with each other enough. We're not giving each other enough accolades. There's not enough content. There needs to be more. And I feel like I'm kind of overcompensating by posting a video a day. And, you know, maybe I'm casting too wide of a net. But there's nothing out there. You know, it's like you look online. I know that they're out there. There's great cello players out there. There has to be. But people need to be able to find it. People need to be able to access it. Jazz is about listening, so you need to be able to listen to it. There needs to be records and live performances, and it just the ball needs to get rolling somehow, and I just feel like it's just not. And those people that I listed, I feel like they're giants. They could be giants of jazz cello, and they just kind of refuse to go there. Maybe they just don't like it, and that's fine. But from my perspective, it just seems like they're not into it. And so they're not playing it, you know? Maybe there's more complicated than that. And maybe my perspective is just a little bit, maybe it's arrogant. Maybe there's something difficult that they're encountering that they can't make it happen. Anyway, my plea. Jazz cello players, put stuff out there. Rupert Gillette, you're doing a great job. You know, you're putting out a song every week. Cool. All right. Went on a rant there. All right. So I'll see you guys on the next vlog, and let me know if you enjoy my videos, or if there's some advice you have, or thoughts that you have, or questions. Happy to answer, and have you join the jazz cello community and whatnot. All right. See you guys.